thought like the lack of information, it kills a lot. And then from that experience, we're like, okay, we should think of things that we're supposed to know because my personally, there are things I wish, I had known before now. I'm just getting to know them. And if I had known them, I would have taken, some steps. But still, it's not too late because we have people who have been in our shoes. They were here, they are now in the active life, and then they know how things are going there. So we believe they will, guide us, telling us, what things that we need to know, things that we have to, to do, and then prepare ourselves ahead of time. So that's basically the reason why we organized this. I remember in 2020. I think it was 2021 in a pandemic. So there was a program like this that was earlier when I came, and I learned certain things from it. So, and I believe that everyone today is going to also learn. One of the major rules here, that we want to take on before I introduce the people we have is that please, we already have people that sent questions. We have a list of questions that they will be answering to, but outside the questions, we would definitely want people to also, if you want to give an opinion, you want to share, you want to ask a question, what you just have to do is to raise your hand and then we'll give you a chance, to do that so that we'll be able to control, the conversation, here today. So we're supposed to end at 1 p.m. or if we finish before that, it's not compulsory that we spend 2 hours. If we can finish before that time, that will be fine too. It depends on, how we go about it. So having said that, I first of all want to recognize the presence of Dr. Longla, the advisor to HXA. He's been here like 20 minutes ago. He actually joined 20 minutes before the time, and he was here. I joined the Zoom, and then I saw him, and then Dr. Jimoh, one of our speakers here today. So, Dr. Longa, thank you so much for making time to be with us. We appreciate this. And without wasting time, I quickly want to introduce to us the the speakers we have. There are people some of them, or probably you haven't met, some other ones, but they are people you've heard of. Some of you know them very well here. So let me start by introducing to us, because he's already here with us, Dr. Jimoh Braimoh. Dr. Jimoh Braimoh is currently, as I call him, is an immigration law specialist. Okay, anything that concerns NIW, that's national interest waiver, green card issues as it relates to international student. But also when we call him doctor, actually he was here and then got his PhD in applied linguistics. So I'm actually following his steps because we are in the same, department. So he has decided to join us today and then share a few things about us. Dr. Jimoh, are you with us? We'd love to see your face, please. Uh,
I'm with you.
all right.
Good
So
morning,
here,
everybody.
yes, good morning. Thank you for coming. Thank you for accepting to be with us. We really appreciate.
Not
My
only
pleasure.
doctor, he is also former president of this
Yeah,
association.
exactly. That's where I'm actually heading to. So, Dr. Jimoh, thank you for reminding me, sir. Dr. Jimoh Braimoh is also the former president. I came in, that's in 2020, yeah, before the 2021. So it was the president. And based on the stories, there was a time when the association was actually down, for some while. And then when he came, so he worked with the advisors and then they brought the association back to life. And that's why we are having it today. So thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate that. So we move on to the next person, right, that we have here. We already have his face is already showing, so you already know him. So if I call myself a president today, it was because someone actually gave me the baton, to continue. That is Dr. Mathias Muia. He's right here with us. Dr. Mathias, thank you for coming.
My pleasure, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. Now, for those of you who don't know him, if you want to do calculations, yes, he's right now an associate professor of mathematics at the University of South Alabama. And when I see these people, the Dr. Jim, I still have hope that yeah, after my studies, I can also get to be doing something. Thank you so much for finding time. So we are going to be hearing from you soon, the answers. And then we have two more people, but out of the two, definitely the third one of them is here. I haven't seen the fourth person. Um, so I've never met her in person, okay? But I remember the first in 2021 she was invited to Just Like This, and then she shared her opinions, and it was from there I was like, oh, I think we need to bring her back again, and to come and share her opinions with us. She was here. She was a member of ACXA. She worked with ACXA, and currently she's in the active world and then working in the industry. So here we are. We have Osariemen Imafidon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right because that's right all the way from, Edo State. Osas, are you with us? AKA Osas, are you with us?
Yes, I
Osas,
am. Thank you for
Osas.
the introduction.
Okay, I don't know.
You did
So
well, you did well.
Osas is a senior product, validation engineer. Those are kind of names when you hear your name, your head shake. Okay,
Oh my
your head will
God.
shake. Say, okay. So she's here today. Osas, are you like? Is the environment allow us to see your face?
Well, I can turn my camera right now. I'll turn it up and I'll turn it back on later.
Okay,
Is that
yeah.
okay?
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
So that everybody can see who I am.
Yeah, we want to see
Yes.
who you are.
You've seen who I am before, sir.
Ah, that's not okay. Here she is. So this is Osas. Thank you so much for for coming on
No
the show.
problem.
And yeah, so we are going to be having a Justice Obioha who was also part
Where's
of
the
the.
food? Where's the
Oh, okay. So we are going to have Justice Obioha, who will be joining us soon. He sent me a message that he was going to be late for some minutes. Oh, he's already here. So Justice Obioha is an educator. He got his master's degree here in Omis. He was part of HCSC, so he did a lot of things. He was one of the organizers, in the event. But now he actually lives some miles away from here in Texas, and he's a professor of French too in the big high school over there, and he's also a man of God, a pastor. So, Pastor Justice, are you
Hey,
with us? Good morning,
yeah.
good afternoon.
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing
We're
today?
doing great. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. I consider it a big privilege. Thank you.
We appreciate that. So, Dr. Longla, before we start, can we get a word from you, like how important an event like this is?
Well, Mr. President, I think that the speakers that we have today will
Yeah.
have enough to say, and people will discover by themselves how important the event is. So we shouldn't spend too much time on speeches today. Thank you, anyways, for giving me the chance to talk.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate that. So we will move on straight, to the questions we have there. We have like so many questions. Some of them look alike, but we'll take them one after the other, and we will like ask our guests, to speak on them as we move on. So the first question on the list says, what are the processes for applying for jobs? Now, if you want to apply for jobs after your studies, what are the processes? I don't know if I should read all the questions first, read all of them out so that we see where we are going to start from, which one, and we'll take one after the other. Another one says, can I apply for a green card while I'm still a student? Can I apply for a green card while I'm still a student? And there's a question that says, is it mandatory? I don't know if I should have been able to just share the screen so that people can see the questions. I think that will make it better. So let me go with this.
If you want, you could post it on the chat. Okay.
Okay, so these are the questions. Can I apply for a green card while I'm still a student? Is it mandatory to leave US after completing a 2 years master's program while you still have about 3 years for your visa to expire? If yes, can you do any legitimate work? And then number 4 has a lot. It's a job search, interview, things to know about salary negotiation, how to navigate moving after graduation, how to navigate corporate America, and how to get promotions, and paid increased paid. Things you wish you knew before you graduated. got a job or left Oxford, ideal timeline to start applying for a job. How did you prepare for life after graduating? What should we anticipate? Can I apply for a green card while on OPT? Can I travel internationally while on OPT? What happens if I can't find a job within 90 days of OPT? What are the options for employment-based green cards? Can you work during the summer break? So those are the questions. Oh, there are still. Do pregnancies affect your graduate assistantship? That should be for women. What are all the ways to get a green card from being an undergrad? Oh, these are the same questions. Which is the fastest way, according to your opinion? What do I need to do if I want to work in the summer? Do I need a permit for working, especially if it is not an internship? The last one, can you bring someone from your home country on an F2 if the person is a close relation but not your husband or wife? Let's say mother. The person is your mother. So those are the questions we have today. So we can start with the first one, or the ones that we feel are the first one to answer first. So applying for jobs, but I think before that, we should be talking about, while being a student, working while you're a student first. I think that should be the major one. So, Dr. Jimoh, let's start with you.
Okay, so the question is if you can work, right?
Or while being a student.
If you can work. Yeah, so the answer is yes, you can work, but with the normal restrictions. You can work on campus and you can work for 20 hours. You actually cannot work outside campus, but there are some conditions that can make you work on that outside campus too. You could work with your OPT, with CPT, or if you have hardship. These are different conditions, and or they all have their different requirements that can help you work. So generally speaking, yes, you can work, but based on the restriction that follows your visa.
I think this question needs to be looked at again, because I think it's unrelated to OPT CPT. It's for a regular student
Yes.
that wants to work in the summer.
Yeah, so the laws are the same, whether it is summer or no summer.
That's what I'm saying. It's not somebody on OPT, but it's someone that is a regular student asking, can he work in the summer off campus?
I mean, I think
I think it's just poorly formulated.
if I can jump in.
So the issue is this: your OPT, you can apply for your OPT. It's possible to apply for your OPT before you finish your program.
Oh, okay.
There is a process. There's a very complicated process too, and also for hardship. So that's why I say based on the restrictions on your visa.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah, yes, you can.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that, the question probably was asking about if students are able to work during summer, which Dr. Longola, pointed out. So like Dr. Jimoh said, one just has to be careful, right? We have a situation where people travel out of the state they're schooling in to go do under the table work. Why that is not legal, if you have to do that, you just strictly have to be careful, because that could if you're caught doing that will mean that you're violating the conditions of your application, the conditions of your visa, which is to work on campus. I don't know if I answered that question, Doctor.
Yes.
I think
yes.
I can say something here under the control of Dr. Jimoh, who is here. If you are an undergraduate or a graduate student, it doesn't matter. You get an I-20. The I-20 allows you to work for up to 20 hours on campus, not off campus. That includes all the time you're here. From first day of the year to last day of the year, doesn't matter whether it's summer or not summer. Now, on my experience, there are conditions under which you can require or request a special authorization to work off campus. It doesn't matter whether in the summer or not. I know one case is need-based. So you can get the working permit based on the fact that you need money to do something that you cannot afford that is important for you to survive in this country. In those cases, you can file an application and you can obtain a need-based work permit that can extend your 10 to 20 hours for you to work even off campus. That's all I know of.
Okay. Yeah, I think those are the options. And Osa said, I think you can work up to 40 hours if not taking classes in summer on campus, if you're not taking classes. Yes. Dr. Matthias, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I think what Dr. Longla said and what Jimoh and the rest have said is perfectly covers everything. You can work with the departments, for example, tutoring, if you feel like you can tutor maths or do any other summer programs on campus. You can also do jobs with the landscaping, as long as it's on campus job. Yeah, you can do on campus job. For you to work off campus, then you need to talk with the office of the international advisor to get advice if you need work permit on extension. What Dr. Longla said, yeah, you need, if you have constraint or you are struggling financially, you can get an extra permit that allows you to work off campus, whether in summer or during the semester as well.
Yes.
I think it's just important for us to point out that you have to get that permission to be able to do outside of work outside of the campus, because again, you don't want to compromise the condition at which you were given admission into the country.
Yes, I think that question is answered already. Yes, you can work so on campus when it's summertime. And I think by end of October this month or November, so they will open applications for summer jobs ahead of time. So they will be open. There are many of them on campus, like summer college, pre-college programs. So they open for jobs ahead of time. So you guys should be keep alert. If you have any message that by that time we'll send to you. Thank you for that one. So now let's move to other things. Let's go to someone saying things you wish you knew before you graduated. Things you wish you knew, like you've been on campus. What are the things you wish you knew before you graduated? So, like things that for now you wish, like if you've known them, things would have been different now that you're working out there. So let's go on that question. Dr. Matthias, you are on the screen. If you want to start, we'll go with you. And then
Yeah. It's not pretty like, when you go to a new job, you expect there will be a change, right? Yeah, but let me give my introduction a little bit first. Thank you for that opportunity. And I also want to greet you all. So good morning and good afternoon, everybody. I'm so happy to be able to see you again and to hear the voice of my advisor, Dr. Marshall Longla. We normally chat or email, but it's good to hear his voice again and every one of you. I graduated in May this year under the supervision of Dr. Marshall Longla and got a position here in the University of South Alabama as an assistant professor of statistics. Horem, you called me associate, and that will come as a promotion after 6 years. So
okay.
It's assistant, associate, then professor. So I'm an assistant professor here. The things I wish I knew is that one of the main things I wish I knew is that every institution has its own policies and the norms in which they do things are very different from what you are used to in Ole Miss. This is not a big issue, but like in all the means we used to get almost trainings on how to work with different software. But when you get a job, you are just told, this is your class. You are going to teach this class. You have to teach it using this software. Maybe I'm using StartCrunch here. You are going to use Canvas, not Blackboard. I'm used to Blackboard, but in all means they used to prepare everything for us. Here, you are just told, this is the link to Canvas. You have to teach using Canvas. So prepare your outlook of your Canvas, and yeah, the students are added automatically. So we may have been used to a lot of help in the University of Mississippi. Yeah, University of Mississippi has very nice people, but in your new job, you'll just be told, this is what you are going to do. And maybe that's a week before you start work, and you have to make things work. And there's no meeting that will be called for you to be told, this is how we do things. No, you are expected to know because you have been employed to do the job. It's not a big challenge, I know that, but that's the only thing I wish I knew. Like, there is no big orientation on some of these things related to your job.
What's that? Yes, now those that will be teaching, you should take note of teaching using Canvas, not Blackboard. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Canvas is like Blackboard. It's just the other option,
okay.
but it's quite different from setting up your Blackboard.
All right, thank you. Yes, do
Yeah.
we continue? Uh Pastor Justice.
Yeah.
Yes, we continue with the same question. Things you wish you knew.
I mean, I find this question very interesting, and I said that because you can't know everything, right? There are things that you will discover when you start applying for jobs. There are things that are different for each state. When we got to Texas, we found that I live in Austin, Texas, by the way, and we found out that is a different terrain from Mississippi. So some of the things that are prepared are known in Mississippi, right? Uh, they are totally different in Texas. So now in Texas, we have to do there are certifications I had to get, to for my place of work, that I couldn't have gotten in Mississippi. And if I'd gotten it in Mississippi, right, it would still be subject to review in Texas. So I would say that the first thing you want to do is when you know the field you want to go to after your master's, your PhD, you want to start making research about those fields. What are the required trainings? What are the things that you need to know before you move? Another thing is look at the states. Some states have different policies, right? And so you have to be aware of all of these policies, the trainings. I just came back from DC the other day for a global conference, and it was just totally different, and it's not like what I'm used to. So again, just being open to change and also being ready to do something to accommodate the change and not just be used to just one thing. So again, you're going to have a lot of differences, like my friend and former roommate Matthias said. They use Canvas right now. We were used to Blackboard, right? And right now we use Canvas as well. So if you're not open to all of this information, you just find out that you are missing out from a whole lot. So again, I wish I'd made more inquiry about Austin before moving to Austin.
Okay, thank you so much. Then Dr. Jimoh.
You're mute. Okay, so I think I will answer this question I will rephrase the question to what do I think you should be aware of or be conscious of, or what you should know. I think number one, reiterating what others have said, Oxford is not America. Don't use Oxford to judge America. It's just a fraction of America. If you use that mindset, you will definitely fall into issues.
Right.
Another thing you need to know is that um, Oxford is pretty serious with diversity and inclusion, but there are some companies who do it for charade, and there are places that are serious with it. So if you think everywhere you go, those things really are serious, not everybody is serious with it. So you have to be conscious. Most of us come from a background where your colleagues are your friends. But in this society, your colleagues are your colleagues. Your neighbors are not even your friends, you know. So a lot of us, our friends are our classmates, our friends are our neighbors, our friends are our colleagues in class, in school, in work. But in this place, it's not like that, you know. Another thing is in your workplace, people will smile with you and say some things doesn't mean they are your friends or they like you or that smile is serious. You say something, for example, somebody said, oh, one day I was dozing because it was a night shift. And they lost, once you doze, you are sacked. And he thought the person was his friend, and the person was like, you said something related to that. And he too said something like, oh, I remember the first day I came, I was dozing, I was really struggling. The next day he had the sack letter straight, you are gone. What you, most of us from our background think, oh, I'm doing this to help somebody, you know, please help me with this. What you see as help might be an offense here. So you want to sit down, read the rules and regulation, digest it, because you might never have the, not you might not, you will not have the opportunity to say please, or even defend yourself. Once somebody goes to report you, and that this is the part that is really difficult for me to integrate. You know, if most of us come from a background, if you are doing something wrong, somebody will tell you, hey, this thing is wrong, don't do it again. Here, once you do something wrong, even if they know you are a foreigner, you don't know, the hammer will just hit you straight. You have lost your job. You have lost whatever you are depending on. You know, so you really need to be conscious and know that the environment that you are is not a communal lifestyle like where you're from. It is individualistic. It's every man for himself, God for us all. Another thing that you need to know is by the time you are in your OPT, you have 90 days. If you don't get a job, you can start a business and then use your business to run your OPT. And as you run your business, you can also use your business to apply for H-1B and extend your stay. And also another thing that I didn't know that I wish I knew is the process for applying for a work-based visa for yourself. You know, I didn't know much about it. I have an idea, but there was no real information. People were just, you know, giving general information, but specifics I didn't know. So that's why meetings like this, you want to take them seriously and keep contact and reach out so that you know how you can survive the system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Longla and Dr. Jimoh. We are coming back to those questions of OPT. We have so many questions, and then we'll come back then with details. Dr. Longla, we have your hands up, sir.
Yes, I just wanted to chip in on the what you wish you knew, which is a good place to actually talk about things that people need to know and do while they are still students. And the first thing on that list that I can tell you is I wish I knew it is better to use credit cards than use cash, because some students still believe, as it is the case in Africa, that cash shows that you are rich. Actually, cash shows that you're poor in this country. You need to use credit cards. You need to open a credit card as soon as possible and use it. Make all your purchases with the credit card. That builds your credit history. If you don't, then when you graduate and you start a job, the first thing you think of is to buy a car or buy a house. And that's when you learn the price of not using a credit card. Because you go to a bank to look for money to finance your car or finance your house, and you realize that the bank is saying, you don't know how to use money. There is nothing that the bank can use to judge your ability to refund the money that you want them to give you. And so you will have very high rates because of the fact that you have zero credit history. I was in that situation when I bought the car. The first car that I wanted to buy, not cash, because I couldn't afford it cash, but I wanted the car. The car was $28,000. And they gave me that car with a 10% interest. Okay, 10% because I had zero credit history. I spent my entire life as graduate student by paying things with cash because I thought I was in charge. Okay. Now after when that happened, I understood, yeah, that's something you really need to do. Second, in that same situation, speaking about cars, and I know I have tried to advise some graduate students, and they are still proving to me that they don't need cars. And that's the second thing you will wish when you finish that you knew while you were a student. Get out there, get a driver's license, buy a car even for $500 to $1,000, and start moving around with your own car. It is important because when the time comes to look for a job, you're not going to send messages on social media to ask for people to drop you here and there when you're job hunting. And one day somebody will send you a message, say, hey, can you come tomorrow for an interview? And you get out and start looking for someone who can give you a ride. It's going to be very hard. Okay. And most of the time you need to do all those expenses by yourself first before the people that are interviewing you refund your money. So imagine you need a car to get to the airport. You fly. When you get down, you need a car to get to the location. If you have your driver's license, you just rent a car, you go and back. If you don't have, you're going to do. Ask somebody from the university that is trying to hire you or the company that is trying to hire you to send you someone to the airport, pick you up. So you're just showing them that you're not responsible. So your interview, you're starting to fail it right there. And the fact that you don't know how to get to them without disturbing them. All right. So that's the second thing. And I would just stop on that now, on those two things, and wish that those who are listening and who are still having those problems might change it before it's too late.
Can I add something real quick?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so talking about that, I truly appreciate what Dr. Longola just pointed out. By the way, Dr. Longola used to be my landlord, and I benefited a lot from his wisdom and knowledge in a lot of things. But yeah, so I think, again, culture awareness is really important. You know, you cannot come to a country that is different from your country, right, and still want to live and, you know, do the same thing you did back home. And I give you an example. Say, for example, a police officer were to stop you because you're over speeding. You know, I just got this knowledge to share with us when Dr. Longola was talking about this, owning a car in the country. If a police officer were to stop you, you know, back home, we will come out of the car and, you know, in our innocence, you know, just come out of the car and want to talk to the police officer. But here you don't do that. Once a police officer, that siren is blowing, you see the lights, you want to park in a safe place. Now, remember, you are a Black person, and that already kind of, you know, points you to be, it just has something on you, right? So you have to go to a safe place, right? Park your car and wait. Put your hands on the dashboard or on your steering and just wait for the police officer to attend to you. A lot of people don't know this, and that has caused them a lot of problem. You cannot just own a car, just go buy a car, learn how to drive it. You should also learn about, you know, the rules and regulation for different state. Again, I say different state because there are things that are different for each state. Like to get your driver's license, when I came to Texas, right, in Austin, the driver's license we had in Mississippi, we had to change it. And for Texas, it's a longer process than it is for Mississippi because you have more people in Texas than in Mississippi. So if we don't understand all of this, we'll just, you know, be stressing ourselves for nothing. Just wanted to chip in that.
Yeah, I remember you said if you have your driver's license here, and it has to expire. If it expires, yeah, make sure you renew it before you move into where you are moving to, because you can get to a place where you have to restart all over again. So they are not just going to renew it for you. You have to
Very true.
start all over again. Yes. I think one thing I need to add, that was what Dr. Jimoh talked about. I had a former roommate here who did his master's and then started working. And when he was working, he's the kind of guy, he likes to talk, he likes to share things, and then just went ahead and was joking with one of his colleagues, was talking like the way we talk in Nigeria or like anywhere in Africa, saying some things. And the guy just reported him. That was something he thought he was talking to a friend, he thought he was joking. He reported him, that was how he lost his job. That was just simply how he lost his job. And he said he learned it in the hard way, not being a very dark man, but he learned it in a very hard way, that your colleague is your colleague, and full stop. You just have to learn it and put it on that way. There are, when things happen here, not even in the department, not even the head of the department, like in Nigeria or wherever in Africa, people will call you and say, oh, you are doing this, don't do it again, okay? Nobody, like straight, you get letter direct. So they just believe that you know everything. I think that was really, really important and sounds so important. Peter said, thank you for the panelists for being with us today. Can you shed more light on EB2? Okay, I'm reading the questions. Visa petition, the documents needed. Yeah, we are going to talk on that's actually where we're heading to. Colleagues are not friends, not relatives. Keep it in mind. Yes, that's really, really important. So thank you for those contributions. Now let's move to questions on OPT. We have so many questions on OPT. Can I apply for a green card while on OPT? Can I travel internationally while on OPT? What happens if I can't find a job within 90 days of OPT? Dr. Jimoh said something quickly about that, but we'll go back to that again. So let's look at OPT and green cards, all of them together. What are the options for employment-based green card? So those are so many questions on OPT and green card. So let's take OPT first, and then from there we move to green card. So I know Dr. Muia went through, would have been on OPT, or Dr. Jimoh, Dr. Pastor Justice, and also. So we want to hear your opinions. Since you are going to take OPT and the green cards all together, so we'll keep Dr. Jimoh. So he will talk to us basically more on that. But let's start hearing from uh, Pastor Justice. Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, let's start with you. Your opinions about OPT. So how did you go about your OPTs? Like, what were the steps?
Well, so for you to apply to your OPT, you want to make sure that your department is still funding you, right? And you don't wait until your program is about to end before you apply for your OPT. I think there's I don't know if it's about 60 days to the time your program is, that 60 to 90 days towards the time your program ends, and that's when you contact the office of the international office, and you apply for your OPT. I think you also have to pay for the application fee, right? You apply for that, and once you get that, then that gives you, like, for those of us in humanities, you have like 1 year to work in the US. Those in science, like engineering and stuff, STEM, I think they have about three years. I think Osas can correct me on this, either 3 years or 2 years. And so I applied before I graduated, and so here's the good thing about that. So my first job after graduation, the University of Mississippi offered me a job in the department. So thank God I had the authorization card. Without that, you're not allowed to work anywhere, right? You have to show that once they are doing the whole onboarding stuff, you have to show that. And so when we also moved to, I think before we moved to Texas, I was already on my applying for my green card. So by the time we moved, my green card was already ready. So once that is ready, right? Let's say you're applying for your green card just like I did before the expiration of the OPT, the green card will override the OPT. So as a matter of fact, why they didn't know that I was, while I was doing the green card, right, applying for the green card, they were already sending me messages from the OPT department and say, hey, you have so and so days and week to for your OPT to expire. And it is expected that if you don't have a job that will apply, that you apply to get the H-1B visa or anything else that can, change that visa status that you have for the OPT, you're expected to go back to the country, go back to your country. So, just having the green card handy was able to override that. So when it expired, I didn't have to do anything. I just, continued with my green card. So I would encourage everyone who is, wanting to stay back in the country, apply for your OPT. Do not wait until you finish the program. Apply on time so that you get it on time and you use that to apply for job. And also, before the OPT expires, right? If it's 3 years or the 1 year one, before the job authorization expires, you want to start also applying for anything else that would make you stay in this country legal. Because again, with this election coming now, you see a whole lot of things. They keep saying a lot of things concerning immigrants. So I think you want to look at whatever will make you legal in this country, right? Your OPT will make you legal for 1 year or for 3 years. After that expires, before that expires, you want to make sure you have something else that keeps you legal in this country so you're not found wanting. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's move on to Osas. Yeah, he was. Can you hear us, Osas? He was talking about these terms, and he was asking if it's like if it's beyond 1 year.
2 years additional plus the 1 year OPT, so 3 years total.
Oh, that's a total of 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to have something to renew or to get the extra 2 years.
Oh, that means you have to have something you are doing.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You have to have a job or some legal. What's the word now? You have to have something you're using the OPT for that you can use to extend it on. So if you don't have a job on your first year OPT, you can't apply for an extension because you don't have a job currently. So what are you extending? So if you have a job during your OPT, you can, and you're still trying to file for the work permit, then you can extend your OPT 2 years while still anticipating the work permit lottery.
Okay, thank you for those in STEMs.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Those in STEMs, that's the idea. Dr. Longla, thank you so much. We got your message. Thank you for coming. Let's move on to Dr. Mathias. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, given that I think I graduated most recently, I want to update you on a few things. Well, the last 6 months to your graduation are very important. And the things I want to update you on is that this year, the OPT has two processing procedures. There's a normal processing and there's the premium processing. So the normal processing this year took 4 months, which is expected to be 2 months. So suppose, as Justice has said, make sure you apply the OPT in a timely manner. For example, if your job starts in August, make sure you apply for your OPT not later than 1st of April. I applied my OPT on 26th of March, hoping that it will be out by June 10th. Well, because I wanted to have more time with my OPT before coming to my job. But it delayed until July 17th. So make sure you apply. Okay, the thing is, you have 90 days before your graduation to apply for your OPT. If you are graduating in May, on May 10th, 11th, 12th, you have from February the 10th to start applying for your OPT. I know this is a period which is very challenging because you do not want to apply for OPT when you do not have a job. And it's a very hard time, very confusing time. You are not sure whether you will decide to graduate. Well, for some departments, we'll tell you, if you don't have a job, we'll give you an extra time to stay or something like that. So I know it's a very challenging time, but the thing is, apply for your OPT on a timely manner. Give it 4 months, because there was a lot of delay this time around. With the flooding in Houston, where they processed the OPT, they claimed the problem was that. The other thing, apart from applying in time, is that the address is very important. Like, for me, I was lucky. I was living with people I know. Dr. Long, Dr. Longlaw was my landlord. So even when I moved here, my OPT had not arrived. It's a very important document, and you do not want to leave it in the hands of a random person. Like, tell them, when the card arrives here, let me know. So if you are moving and your card has not arrived, you need to change your address to your new address if you are not living with people that you know or you trust. For me, I had to move, then go back to pick my OPT later on July 19th. So this will delay the OPT. So if you change address, it's another problem. It delays the arrival of the OPT. And that's another challenge. But the thing is, it's better to change the address. For example, if you are living on Campus Creek, nobody will take care of your document. Yeah. Then the other thing is, if your OPT delays, let's say you see it's June 15th and your job starts on July 15th, and your tracking shows that your OPT will be out in 3.5 months or 2 months, then you can change it to premium processing. The normal processing is like $410. I think now it increased to $475. So the normal processing is $475. So you can change it to premium if it's not yet out. Or during your initial application, you can just apply for premium processing, which is $1,685. So you need to plan for your graduation.
You pay $1,000.
Yeah, if you need premium processing,
Okay.
you have to pay one. You have to apply, submit your application with $475.
Okay.
Then, if you need premium, you apply premium separately.
Okay.
And pay $1,685. So that makes it, yeah,
Up to
2,000.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Justice, you want to add something before we go to Dr. Jimoh?
Yeah, I'm trying to quickly answer Sochima's question. So Sochima, I'll tell you, you would I think you only get OPT once. I don't think you get it twice. So it's that if you want to get it during your master's, after you finish your master's, you cannot get it. I don't think you can get another OPT after your PhD. So here is the rule of thumb that I would give to you. I would encourage you to apply for your PhD way ahead of time before you graduate. Okay, don't, if you're gonna graduate, let's say in January, apply, before that time, so that you get to hear back from the committee whether or not they gave you admission. And so if that's the case, then you don't need to apply for OPT, right? So it's like you just want to make sure that you're also doing the calculation, right? You do the calculation from this time to this time, what is going to be available. If not, you don't want to ever want to be in this country without without being having your documents and being legal, because again, that puts you in the risk of just always being afraid. You don't want to put yourself out there. You don't want to just little things. If you run the red light, for example, and the police gets you, and normally they will give you paper, but then if they look at your history and they say, oh wow, this person's thing has expired and you're still in this country, so that could again put you into trouble. So the best thing to do is, if you're wanting to apply for your master, your PhD, immediately after your master's, I would advise that you apply way ahead of time. Maybe if you have one more semester left, apply at the beginning of that semester, right? So you hear back from the committee to know whether or not you are, being admitted. If you're being admitted, then you don't need to apply for your OPT, right? If you're not gonna go that route, just apply for your OPT, do your 1-year program. While you're doing the 1-year while you're working for 1 year too, you also don't want to wait for that 1 year to exhaust before you apply for your PhD. So again, calculation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Jimoh, We are back to you now. We want to pull all the OPT from OPT down to green card. We want to open the floor to that very discussions now because that's what most people are actually waiting for to hear.
Okay, so number one thing I want to say as a foundation, in your OPT, you are still an F1 status. So everything that practically applies to your F1 status still applies, just that this time you are free to work, you know. But the working is still in your line of study. So it's like, okay, you are not going to class now. What you have learned, come and put it to practice. But the status is still the same. So anything you can do with your F1, you can still do it while you are on OPT.
Okay.
So can I apply for a green card while on OPT? Yes. Can I travel internationally? Yes. But you don't want to travel when it is pending, when it has not been approved. Traveling that time is pretty risky. Then what happens if I can't find a job within 90 days? So I really want to emphasize this. No matter what you do, don't get out of status. Because I have seen so many issues, recently, that we really need to emphasize the fact that you don't want to get out, you don't want to lose status in this country. It is like you are in hell. It's not going to be good. So no matter what, you don't want to lose status. I think it has been flogged, but I just want to add some stuff. You want to talk about why the 90 days are approaching. What do I do? Because you don't want to wait for 90 days grace period to be over. First of all, you don't actually need a job to apply for OPT. That's why they give you 90 days grace to get a job. Yeah. You can do a volunteer work, unpaid volunteer work to survive while the 90 days are approaching. You can enroll in another program. You can finish one master's and apply for another master's, apply for PhD, apply for master's to make sure you are in status, do whatever you need to do. Then we have talked about term extension. Even on your OPT, you can also apply for, what do you call it? H-1B. You can do DV visa. There are a lot of things. You can even go for asylum too. If you meet the criteria and all that, there are a lot of things you can do to remain in status. So you don't want, there is also this, the CP1, the CPT schools. That is a last resort that you can go to. The one CPT schools are schools, once you apply, immediately give you admission, they can give you I-20 immediately. They're authorized to do that. But they are very expensive. The cheapest I've seen so far is 8,000. And that's the cheapest. Normally, the cheapest before was like 18,000, 23,000, to pay. It's pretty expensive. But they are called days. So if you are approaching the 90 days and all that, and everything seems not to be working, that is a last option, but you have to be sure that you have like 7 credit cards that you can use to pay the money. All right, so I can't flog that enough. Okay, what are the options for employment-based visa? So for employment-based green card, you have EB1, B2, and EB3. Basically, for the EB3, you need a sponsor. But for the EB, and it's very expensive because it entails a lot of things. You need an agent, you need lawyer, you need a company sponsoring you, you need the labor certification. So usually it is pretty expensive. So it can be up to 20-something thousand to go through it because the lawyer has to take their own, agent to take their own, and all those level. So your next best option is EB2, which is exceptional ability. It simply means you are above average in your field. Therefore, the US needs you. And because the US needs your expertise, they waive the labor certification and the sponsorship. So you are the company sponsoring yourself. Then EB1 is you are 1% of the people in your field. It means you have gotten to the top. You are not only at the top, people know you, you are popular. You are not only popular, you have been there for a while. So that will come about, that's what we talk about sustained, acclaimed. national and internationally acclaimed, and that you have sustained it for a while. So if I say, who is Wole Soyinka now, you know him. So what they are saying, simply, if they call your name in your feed, people know you, and there are different ways to prove it. So those are the options that you have. Somebody asked which one is easier. I would say EB2 is easier, but if you talk about faster, apart from marriage, since we are students, it will be the EB1. The EB1 doesn't have a wait time. It doesn't have any backlog. Once you are approved, you can apply. As you are applying, you do what we call concurrent application. You can apply for the visa and also apply for change of status at the same time. So immediately you are approved, you don't need to apply again. They just change your status from F1 to green card. You are mute.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now can we break this question of applying for EB1? Someone asked, one of the question is, yeah, we know EB1, but what are the processes? How do we go about that? What are the things I need? Like, how do I go about? What are the documents that they require for me to do that?
So the process is one, you apply. So when you apply, the major thing in your application, apart from filling the forms, is that you write a petition. So when the petition is approved, then you go to the next stage, which will be change of status. So that is, in a nutshell, that's the process. So what are the qualifications? Number one, evidence of a lesser national or international award. So if you have won Grammy, you have won Laurel Prize, you have won Olympics, you don't even need anything. You just put it and tell them, I won this, they change your status, because that's what the people that it is meant for. However, they also know that there are people that have not won Laurel Prize in Literature, like Wole Soyinka, people like, what do you call their name again? Things Fall Apart.
Chinua Achebe.
Chinua Achebe is also popular, but he didn't win any Laurel Prize, but he won a lot of national awards.
Yeah.
So people like that too fall into that category. Again, there are people who have not even won national award, because sometimes this national award is based on politics and all that. Somebody like Gani Fawemi never won any national award. People that Gani Fawemi trained other people, those people had son. Gani Fawemi didn't have son. So they asked him in court, because he was an enemy of the state, always fighting for justice in a very corrupt military government. So he was never considered for son. He was asked in court one day, is there a son? He said no, but there is a son, senior advocate of the masses. So that was how the daughter of the person in charge told his father, this man have not been considered for son. That was how he had son before he died. So they realized that there are people like that. So if you have not won international or national, you must have won something that is recognized nationally, right? So you have to prove that this award that I won is nationally recognized. So that's one. Another one is membership in an association, not just general membership, not just any hired association. We're talking about an association where they ask you to join because of your achievement, in the field. Another thing that they also consider for this membership is fellowship. If you have won any fellowship in your field, you can also be accepted for this criteria. Then, talking about award, these days they also recognize award you win in an international or a well-recognized conference. So if you have attended a conference, you presented a paper, and you were given an award, best presenter or whatever, you can also use that now to also satisfy the criteria of a lesser national award. Then another thing is publication about you, that is your media presence. Have you ever been, have your work be talked about in the newspaper, TV program, or you've been invited to give a talk, but it has to be in your field. That also shows that you are well known and people are inviting you. Then again, judge of other people's work, you know, like a reviewer for a journal, a project supervisor, you know, and all anything you have done to like evaluate other people's work, even conference abstract, you know, a member of a panel of a conference, you know, things like that that you have done to judge other people's work. That is also one of the criteria. Then publication in a journal. So that one, we actually give you two. It will give you contribution to your field and also authorship of scholarly articles. Then you also have the one for artists, which have to do with displaying your artistic work. That one is for artists. It's not for everybody. Then have you performed a leading or a critical role? Leading role simply means you are the top, you are the manager, you are a secretary, you are a vice director or something. So if you have done that for a distinguished organization, then you will satisfy that criteria. Or you were not up there, but you did something that is so crucial, that is so important. You solved the problem. You made a contribution to your company. You helped your company in a way that is considered very critical. If not, maybe the company would have collapsed. You can also satisfy that criteria. Another criteria is high salary. You know, you have been paid high salary and your salary is higher than people in your field. If you have an evidence for that, then you also satisfy that one. Then there's another one for commercial success. Or those in the performing arts. You featured Burna Boy in your music and then you sold 5 million copies. You know, you satisfy this criteria. So according to the regulation, you need to meet 3 of these 10 criteria, at least 3 of these 10 criteria. So for you to be able to apply. But that doesn't actually mean that you will win your case. But if you have up to 3, you are free to apply. But we suggest having at least 5 to 8 of these before you apply to have a stronger case. So in a nutshell, this is what the EB1 is about. EB2, the requirements are not as tough as EB1. Again, for that one, you also need to have meet at least 3. And then you submit your application with your petition, and when it is approved, you can move to the next stage of changing your status.
Okay, I think that basically covers a lot of questions here that people are asking, you know, on getting a green card. So I'm sure before you go to, before we finish, you definitely, if people want to reach out to you, you drop your email and then they will do that. Still on the question of, does anyone have any other thing to add on this question of green card, EB1, any other person has any other thing? Okay, we'll be moving on. Let's talk about job search. Okay. Someone
just
said,
ask.
okay, can one apply to the EB1 or EB2 while on F1 status? The answer is yes, right?
It's more favor. As a matter of fact, it's more favorable. It is designed to favor students. Most people that have issues with applying, that need to do resume building before they apply, are those who just finish school and start working. They don't have publication, they don't go to conference, they are not cited, so they don't have those other criteria. And if you just graduate and start working 22 years, the only thing you might be able to prove is maybe you are now holding a high position. That's the only thing you can prove, you know. But it is students that can prove that they have gone to conference, they have publications, they have been cited, they have acted as judge, you know, one way or the other, you know, and even your colleagues work, conference abstract. People who are in the working class don't do conference abstracts, don't do all those things. So they can hardly meet 2 of those criteria. So it is you that is a student that is actually this thing is designed for. So yes, you can apply as a student.
Okay. If there are any other questions anyone want to ask, the chat is there. You can drop questions there. But let's talk about searching for jobs. And especially since Matthias is also here and Justice is here, Osas is here for jobs. So what are the processes for applying for jobs? That's one question about job. What are the processes for applying for jobs? I think there was someone say, what are the options for employment based green card? Okay, that's employment. Um, anything about jobs again? No, I think that's the major question. So, what are the processes? When do one have to apply for jobs? What types of jobs? I know it depends on our field, but how do we go about applying for job? Okay, yeah, someone said ideal timeline to start applying for job search, interview, salary negotiation. So those few things, how do we go? We have Justice, you're working in a college now. Osas, you are working in an industry. Dr. Muia is an assistant professor in a university. All those processes. Okay, I know mostly Oga Jimoh went through that too, but he's more on his own, right? As I know most, but we'll hear from you at the last on that. But those who are really, really into that now, so what were the processes like? If you would share with us. Bola, if it's the question, let me get from you before the answer. Bola, you raise your hand. Justice, was that your former hand or still is it a new one?
I didn't raise a new one, but I think it may be
Okay.
the former one.
Okay,
I
Bola.
still have my two hands up.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Bola. How are you?
I'm very fine. Good
It's nice.
afternoon. Okay, still morning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to hear. Nice to hear. It's nice for joining. We appreciate.
Let me pay homage to all my guys that I'm seeing here. I just want to say good morning to every one of you. All right.
We can't see you, Sha.
No,
What?
I'm not available. You can't see me. I'm not available.
Okay.
I'm not available. I'm a scarce commodity. All right. I would say that Dr. Jimoh has really, talked about the EB2 NIW. So I want to take it up from the SPEM perspective. And I want to say that, okay, from the EB2 NIW thing, I'm a recipient of that already. So I can explain how the process went through for me, right? Taking it up from OPT, from applying for job, So that's why I just want to give a brief and a concise overview about that. Okay. So I would say when I got my admission letter, I was offered PhD. I mastered out, right? And before that, I started applying for job, right? So I started applying for job since February. And I was planning to master out by June, July, August, around that time, right? So I started applying for jobs since February. So around April, I got an employment letter and it was good for me. And I'm like, okay, since I have this, and immediately I started applying for the EB2 NIW stuff because since then I've heard about it. And what did I do? If you have a higher education before coming to the US, if you have a higher degree before coming to the US, what did you say? You can't hear me?
No, go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you.
So if you have a higher degree before coming to the US, you have a upper hand. Or if you have almost 10 years work experience before coming to the US, or even whilst at the US. So those are two underlying factors. And also you need reference letter, at least minimum of 8 reference letter. So if I'm saying that I've worked I have 10 years work experience, that means I have some bosses that should be able to put in some words for me, which I was able to. So I use the privilege of having a higher degree before coming to the US because I have my master's before coming in. So I used that. And also because I started working earlier, even before I finished. So when I applied for the OPT, I have my OPT, and at the same time, I started the EB2 NIW stuff. So I got the approval, and I did the express one, I did the priority one, and so that extended up everything. So what I'm trying to say is the basic thing is just to be able to get the petition. I did everything myself. I didn't use a lawyer. I did everything right in my room. So it's about you have the basics, the information are out there online to know, okay, do I meet this prerequisite? Do I meet this, underlying question that I have here. Do I have all what it takes? Then you put all the supporting documents. You get your evaluation done through Silvergate evaluation. You just send them your certificate and they just send you back the evaluation. It's just $100 to get that done. They send you back the what's it called? It's like a letter confirming that, okay, the previous degree you have, these are the corresponding degrees to it in the US. That one, you need that one also. That's for Silvergate evaluation, not West. So you're not using West to evaluate that. That's if you have a higher degree. Then my supervisor in school, in homies, he gave me a reference letter. Then some other things I did in school while I was working as ambassador for the students, whatever, I got a letter there too. So all those things are just the supporting document that was included in the 100-page exhibit that I submitted, and I got the approval in 2 weeks. So that doesn't stop my OPT, because it was my OPT that I eventually used for applying for my job. And when I resumed at work, it was still my OPT that was binding, because that was the E-Verify thing they were using in the company. So I didn't even go back to meet them, okay, because you still wait to move to the second stage to get your medicals done before you get to the third stage to get your green card. And these days now is based on priority date, and it's not that very, very fast. It's now that it's just a little bit expedited. But initially, it's just been draggy. But now the date has moved so very fast. So people are getting to the second stage and even the third stage. So if you're planning to apply for a job, if you're a STEM, you get the first year. And like Mathias said earlier, you start on time in order to get that done early enough so that you get, the card on time, which is very important because that's what you use to start the job. So I used that. It didn't cancel the fact that, you now have your green card approved and you don't have it physically. So you are still under the status of F1. You still have your OPT and you can travel, right? So that's what I would say, because with my OPT, I've used that to travel a lot. So that's what I'll just chip in. Any other question? I'm available to answer, because I'm taking it from, okay, I have applied and this is how it worked for me perspective. All right. Thank you.
So let me thank you, Balatito. I spoke more on EB1 than EB2, so there are some things I really want to clarify concerning EB2. All right. Number one important is that you can apply from anywhere in the world. You don't have to be in the US alone. I have clients from Canada, from UK, even from Pakistan. I'm writing for a professor now that is in United Emirates. So you can apply from anywhere in the world. You don't have to be in the US to apply for EB1 or EB2. Number two, there is no recommendation letters are not even requirement. They are not a requirement, but they are very important. They are probative evidence, and there is no limit or minimum. You can use 4 recommendation letters. You can use 20. You can use 8. There is actually no threshold. Okay, so there are 2 routes when you talk about EB2. There's the professional route, and then there is the advanced degree route. Oh, sorry, the exceptional ability route and the advanced degree route. The exceptional ability, you don't even need any degree. That is when you need to have like 10 years experience. So then you are only showing your ability, not your degree. So you don't even need a degree, but you need the experience if you are passing the exceptional ability route. Then there is the advanced degree. According to immigration, advanced degree is BSc with 5 years of experience. So even if you have a bachelor's degree and after your bachelor's degree, you have been working in your field for 5 years, you can also apply. If you have a master's, then you go straight. So advanced degree, according to immigration, is a bachelor's degree with 5 years of continuous work experience. So you can use advanced degree, you can use exceptional ability route. The issue of evaluation, I've never used evaluation for any of my clients. You use evaluation, it's not a requirement. The reason why you need evaluation is because, especially when you school in places like maybe France that use 3 years, and they have a different system. France does not do their degree by GPA. They do it over 20.
And their grading is different,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, their grading is different. So it is when you actually school in places like that that you need it. If you school in Nigeria, Nigeria is 4 years, US is 4 years. It doesn't need any evaluation. If you school in UK, you don't. If you school in Canada, you actually don't need it. But to be the safer side, people want to do it. My clients that have done it, they did it without my advice, and I never asked them to do it, and they were never required. And you can use WES. Majority of people use WES. There is no law that says you cannot use WES. Okay. Also, when you are changing your status right now, medical exam is a requirement. It's not a second stage. It is a requirement right now. So before you submit your change of status form, your I-485, you have to do your medicals and add it to it as an evidence, as an exhibit, and before you send it. So those are just some things I felt I should put out there.
Can I jump in now?
Yeah, Justice, yes.
Okay. So I would say that before I respond to the question that was asked, I would highly encourage everyone here, okay? Please try and save money. Like you need the money, okay? Like a lot of times it's good to send money home, but first of all, you want to settle where you are first, right? You want to make sure that you have a good stand. Because again, think about after your master's, your PhD, you're going to need money to settle down. You're going to need money. You're going to probably move out of the school, the apartment that you are living in Mississippi to another place that may be more expensive. So if you don't have money to get you through those few months that you're still applying for job, you're going to be you're just going to be stranded, and you don't want to do that. So whatever stipend they're giving you now and all the money that they are that you're getting, please make sure that you at least have enough to take you throughout at least for 3 months. All right, that you are able to survive, have food and take care of yourself for that time, pending the time you get the job. In some cases, even when you get the job, they don't start paying you that month. They probably won't pay you that month because you have to do paperwork and all of that, and it takes time for them to get approval. I just wanted to put that out there for those again applying for job immediately after graduation. Now to the question about employment, we cannot overemphasize the importance of Indeed, LinkedIn, and other job Google and all of that, and other job publishing websites. It's very important that you create an account with all of these. As a matter of fact, I think I showed you, Horeb, when you came to Austin. There's an Indeed office here, very close to us here. Like you have to create an account with all of this. That's where you get information. This one is not like home where you say, "Oh, I know somebody that knows someone that will put me there." They don't do it that way. It has to be based on merits. Like you cannot say, "Well, my brother is here, so he would walk me to." No, you have to have an account, get all those information, apply. And also you first of all want to look at what exactly do you want to do. Now I'm going to put a caveat on this with what you want to do. Some of you will want to go into becoming like a full-time professor. Let's say you did, you got your PhD, why are you waiting to get in, to get into universities? Let's say that's not the case. You have to be prepared to look for something else that will sustain you until you get your dream job. I don't know if that makes sense. So if you need to teach in whatever school, they are still going to pay you good money, right? And that, pending the time that you're still putting the application for your dream job, go for it. A lot of times people, young people and, international people don't get a job. And I mean, they want to apply for a job and they're just wanting to get the dream job immediately. That may not work. And again, you don't want to be out of status. You don't also want to be without money in this country, right? You want to have something that can help you pay your bills and make sure that you are taking care of yourself. I would say also information is key, and that's why I said to have accounts with all of these job publishing websites. Talk to people, talk to, like, you have us, you have people who have graduated, who have gone through the same process as you, that you're going through right now. So, talk to them and ask questions. Don't always assume that because again, where you're coming from is totally different from where you are right now. So you need to ask questions. You need to ask other people what they did. Are you open to doing, like, are you open to asking questions? Are you open to receiving information? Are you open to learning something new? If you need to do a certification, and that was why I said earlier to make sure that you're making research now that you're still in school. There are some certifications that you can get that they probably would be able to give you like a student price or whatever it is. Like, you get some, discount on that. But when you finish and you graduate, remember, you're receiving stipend, right? While you're in school. Let's assume you graduate and you have not gotten a job yet, and you now see that the dream job or the job you want to apply, you would have to have a particular certification. Now, remember, you're not working, so you're going to have to source money somewhere to do that certification, and that's going to take you time. So the time that you have as a student, you could have done that, save yourself the cost, save yourself the additional responsibility when you graduate. One more thing I'd like to add is that so also, again, knowing where you want to live is important. Okay, very important. Again, you want to consider cost of living, right? For me, I would say I was blessed that Austin, or you can tell when you came. Austin is a very expensive city, right? Very, very expensive. But as God would have it, my case may not be the case with everybody. And that's why I would always tell you, like, coming from Mississippi, you have this mindset, oh, this is the cost of rent right now. This is what I'm paying. You're paying $400, $500. That's not going to be the case when you move out of Mississippi. So you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared. Okay, what am I going to do when I get there, and the cost and the rent? I think we were looking for an apartment for Mirabelle, who is now in North Carolina, in Austin, because she was wanting to come to Austin. And we're saying like $1,500 just for an apartment, right? $1,000 to $300 just for one bedroom and apartment. So again, you need to be prepared for the cost of where you want to go. You need to understand again that the standard of living is different for each state, right? And just being aware of that information. And also, I think there's one more thing. Okay, if I think about it, I would put it up. Thank you. Horeb, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay, still talking about job applications. Okay, let's continue with Dr. Muia, because we are still talking about the academics field. And then Oxas, please, we are going to hear from you when it comes to, because I know you are not in the academics, you are working with the industries out there. You give us a perspective from there when we get to you. But Dr. Muia, let's hear from you. Well, how did you get? How did you?
I tried to answer this question in advance. Can I share my screen?
Oh, let me. I think you can.
With the questions, yeah.
Yes, try that now.
Okay, let's see. I want to go here. Yeah, I tried to answer this question earlier, late last night. Yeah, these are very, very, very important questions. And I have 6, 7 points about it. I'll go through them in the next 5 minutes. So you should plan your graduation. This is assess your career goals. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do a PhD if you are in a master's program? Or do you want industry job? Or do you want to go to teaching? So first, you need to know that. Then for those who are maybe early in their programs or in the mid stage of their programs, make sure you network. I was lucky to have an advisor who pushed me to network and go to conferences. And that's one thing that led to me landing a job. So make sure you network, build professional networks through conferences, and talk to the alumni, the people who have already done this, because what seems to be very difficult for you now is easy for somebody who has already done it. So make sure you talk to the alumni and the people ahead of you. Then gain experience. If you can have an internship to give you an upper hand of competing with the rest, teaching, do assistantships if you can, or the summer jobs, like the summer programs are offered in all Miss. These will help make your CV look much better. Then start making your resume, like prepare your resume and other documents. This is very important. The timeline when you apply for jobs. When I was applying for jobs, I realized that most jobs in academia open from June. Small jobs, some remnant jobs, June, July, but mainly September is the best time to start applying for jobs. When you start applying for jobs in September, you are graduating in May or in January either, then you have time to apply before the jobs are out of the market, because in December, the jobs start drying up. In January, you may find one job per day being posted, and there is less to apply from January to May. So make sure you apply for, you start preparing between 8 to 12 months before graduation. So let me see what's very important here. Yeah, tailor your applications. For example, if you are graduating in May 2026, prepare your documents by summer 2025. So prepare your application documents. If you are going to teaching, there's a teaching statement. There's a, I can share the documents later. There's a teaching statement. There's a research statement if you want a tenure track position. There's a DAY, that is diversity inclusion statement, your CV, your cover letters, up to 5 or 6 documents which you need to prepare. Before doing that, make sure you have talked to your advisor, because of course he has more information of when you are going to graduate, and also talk to other referees so that they can be ready to write your letters within a period. Inform them 2 months before you start applying for jobs so that they have time to write your recommendation letters. Then from September, if you are graduating in May 2026, from September, start searching for jobs and applying. If it goes late, then make it October 1st, at a time like now. Start applying if you are going to teaching jobs. That's the best timeline that I found that it works. And because with my colleagues, some of my colleagues last semester in all of me started applying for jobs in September, and they were able to apply for 200 plus jobs. I started applying in October 15, and I was able to apply for 79 jobs. So you see the difference can make a big, because once the timelines of the job or the deadline comes, the job is taken out of the market. That's what happens. Then once you find the jobs that suit your application, submit your application. Then as you still keep on submitting applications, do not stop. Whatever job you see, it's free to apply. If you see any advert, apply for it. It's free. Whether it's a tenure track, if you are going to teaching, whether it's an instructor position, whether it's a lecturer position, any job you see, apply. Do not say, I'm not going to apply for this one. Just avoid applying to Harvard, Princeton, UCLA. Do not waste your time applying to these big universities. Well, my advisor will tell you, apply anywhere, it's free. So yeah, you can also apply anywhere, give it your try, but you know Harvard will be competitive unless you are going for a PhD there. But going as a tenure track position, it's not easy to apply to these big institutions. So prepare for interviews, especially use your friends to practice interviews. so that you can keep away the adrenaline when you are taking the real interview. And also practice on common interview questions. How do you get this? These questions, you'll find them in the job advert. What does the employer want? So the employer wants somebody who can research, somebody who can teach this and that and that. Go to their website, look at the courses they offer, prepare portfolios based on that, so that when doing the interview, you can say, I can teach this and these courses on your website or in your programs. And make sure you have maybe a portfolio, something prepared that will help you during the interview. So the initial interviews may be through a video, a Zoom call or Skype. And this initial is to check, they want to see whether you are qualified for the position. Do you really have the skills? So the Zoom interview is to check whether this guy is qualified. How will he talk to our students? Is he able to express himself, or does it reflect what shows on the CV or in the documents? Does he reflect all these skills that he has indicated on the documents he has submitted to us? So the video call is to check that. Then they will call you, mostly if it's about teaching. For the next stage, they will call you for an in-person interview. This is now to engage you more, but it's almost you are getting the job, because they call 3 of you to the in-person, on-campus interviews. They call 3 people, and you are almost, the chances are very high that you are going to get the job, but it's still competitive. So they want to know, why have you applied for position in their institution, and what's your vision, and especially salary. Do not answer these questions on salary initially, because you may quote a very high salary, and that may cause you to lose the job. In my very first interviews that I took, that was Michigan, one for Michigan and another one for Xavier University, Ohio. I didn't ask questions. When they said, do you have any questions? I said, no, I think I'm satisfied. So when you say you are satisfied, you don't have any questions, it's an indication that you are not interested. Like, how comes you don't have questions about the position? So always ask questions. So when I realized that me not asking questions has cost me 2 interviews, then I started asking questions. So at the end of the interview, there's always an opening. Do you have any questions for us? Ask questions. And you can ask them very psychological questions, like, when I get this job, will I get the courses I'll be teaching by June, because I want to start preparing my notes? Like, these are like questions that somehow are psychological, but they make the interviewer see that, yeah, this guy is ready for this job. If you don't have any question, you can ask that one. Then after the interview, send a short email. Say thank you for the interview. Then once you are given offers, evaluate the offers. Which one, according to environment? If you get a job in New York and they are paying you $120,000 per year, and you get another job in Mississippi and they are paying you $80,000 per year, I would recommend you take the Mississippi job, because the costs in these 2 places are very different. So also analyze the growth opportunities. If it's you get an instructor position, they may not sponsor your green card or your H-1B. If you get a teaching position and a tenure track position, I suggest you go for the tenure track, because they'll sponsor your H-1B visa and they'll sponsor your green card. The other thing to consider on that is salary. Of course, if a job has a salary difference of $15,000, you'll take the bigger one. So if you get a job offer, negotiate your salary carefully. If it's the only job offer you have gotten and they are giving you $69,000, don't say you want $81,000, because they will automatically go to the next candidate. So if it's the only offer you have gotten, negotiate carefully. Ask them for $75,000 a difference of like 5,000, 6,000, that will make a little bit sense. So make a reasonable negotiation. Don't be too hard when negotiating for this. Yeah, these are the things I thought were very important. And the most important thing here is the timeline. When do you start applying for jobs? I only have experience with summer. With graduating in May. If you are graduating in May, prepare your documents in the previous summer and start your applications. Any questions?
Wow, this is a whole presentation. We really appreciate. Thank you. I mean, it answers a lot of questions, and then there are details. I mean, by the time when you permit us later, we can actually get this part of the video and also each explanation and have them out for people to see. Galaxy, we have your hands up. Do you have something to ask, please?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Okay, I'm
Morning.
asking related to there's a teaching job actually because I just moved into the US not too long. So I happened to ask a friend about this teaching job. He said they do not sponsor your your green card visa application. I just want to be sure about that. Is it possible that you teach in a school and they sponsor your green card application?
Let me answer
That's
that.
my question actually.
Yeah, Galaxy.
I think it depends on the school that you're applying to. Some schools will, when they see that, you're very industrious and you're willing to do the job, and like when they see.
Okay, I think something is wrong with his mic. Okay, Dr. Muya, can you go ahead?
Yeah, I think from my experience is that most instructor positions in mathematics, for instance, will not sponsor the H-1B. Most of them will not sponsor H-1B, except if it's in a big university like Clemson. That some universities bigger will do sponsor. But then I saw Galaxy, you asked another very important question. Like, can you get a teaching job on the chat? Can you get a teaching job if you, I know we are running out of time. Can you get a teaching job with a PhD degree but without an education certificate? Yes, you can get a teaching job with a PhD. Yeah, most of us are not teachers. I'm not a trained teacher, so I do not have an education certificate. So yes, you can get, that's possible. Yeah, but the sponsorship, if it's a tenure track position, then you'll always get an H-1B visa sponsorship. But for teaching as an instructor, lecturer, then it depends from one school to the other.
Okay. Thank you.
I would like to quickly add something. I'm sorry, hurry up.
Okay.
So one thing I would like to say is, remember, whatever, let's say you start, a lot of us sometimes want to start big, right? And when we have that mindset, we miss the opportunities for growth. So if you start as an instructor somewhere, for example, you grow, right? You grow from there. Once you're in the system, you can get to any heights that you want to get into. So what you want to do is to make sure that you are in, especially in education, you are in the system, and then from there you grow. I wouldn't want anyone, or here, just again, my advice, don't reject a job because, oh, well, you've looked at it and you see that, well, if my starting salary is going to be this particular amount, and some jobs may not give you that type of amount you're looking for, but they will give you an opportunity to grow. Once you're into the system, you can, even, for example, apply for your PhD while you're doing. Some programs will sponsor your PhD program. Some programs will, send you on conferences and sponsor your certifications and, help you grow. And again, with growth comes, increment in your salary. Just again, wanted to add that. But I also wanted to add to what my friend Mathias said. So most of these job applications, while you're applying already, they're asking you about, what salary you have in mind. They probably don't ask you this in an interview. They just ask you online. Again, please make sure you're not bringing this African mindset of, wanting to make sure, oh, this is going to be a big salary. Don't do that. If you do that, that can, again, disqualify you from other candidates who have put in, who may have better qualifications than you do. And, and they didn't put as, that type of price. I mean, that type of salary that you have, posted. Again, so make research and see how much does that position really pay in that city or in that state or by that company. And if you need to go up, just add a few $1,000s on that. And remember, you also have an opportunity to grow from there. That's not going to be the salary you're going to be making throughout the time you're going to be in that job. There are opportunities for promotion, for growth, stipends, and all of that. And lastly, I was part of an interview committee recently, and I want to say that interview, has also changed, right? You could come in with, a paper or something that you have some questions that you've answered. You can come in with that. I was shocked to see that one of the persons that we're interviewing had a prompt that, she had that she could use to respond to the questions. So there are many ways that there's a lot of flexibility. You don't have to stress yourself and go and then you're forgetting something. If you need to, go in with, a paper, you could look at it and respond to questions. You're allowed to do that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. We are running out of time. We have close to 15 minutes. But there are a few questions on this thing that we need to look at too. But I have Kuba's hands up. Kuba, what you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, please.
So my question is about work authorization. So with a teaching job, some of them, when we apply, they ask whether in the future you will need a work authorization. I remember I last applied to a school and the chair wrote to me whether I have work authorization. I answered yes, and I explained to them that since I'm an international student after my program or before I graduate, I can apply for OPT. But the next question was, will you need a future sponsorship? And I said yes. I didn't hear from the chair again. So I don't know, when it comes to that, how do you go about it? The next question that he asks, in the future, will you need sponsorship?
Yeah.
Well,
I also wanted to ask that question. So what was the answer to that?
Well, that means if they're asking you for that, is it that they are, wanting to know the type of status you have? There are some jobs, and Dr. Jimoh can tell you more about this too. There are some jobs that are reserved for those that have green card citizenship, right? Or citizens, right? So a company will probably want to look at, well, do we want to spend money sponsoring this person? Some company would do that, and they just need to get that feedback from you. Is this, are we going to be sponsoring you? If they don't respond to you, then that means that the policy of the company is not to sponsor H-1B, visas or whatever type of visa that is. They are not going to be sponsoring that. So you probably have to apply for another place. Or if you're looking at it that you could apply for sponsor yourself, which again, you could do, like I think Bola did that, and Dr. Jimoh also did that. You could do that. You could apply by yourself, get the job first, get into the job, start getting the salary, then start working your way through. You could tell them no, and if that didn't happen, that you didn't get the status. Again, this is why you're still on your what do you call it, OPT, right? You still have that 1 year or 3 years to work. So while you're getting towards the end of that if that's not the case, then you can also apply to other places, or continue that self-sponsored visa status that you could do through publication or through exhibition of an exceptional quality that you have as an individual in the country. So again, there are many ways to it. Again, if a company is asking you that, they just want to know if they're going to be spending money sponsoring you in the future.
Okay. Dr. Mathias, do you want to add something to that?
You do need Yes, because the fact is that you do need sponsorship. Yeah, so you have to be sincere and tell them that, yes, I need sponsorship, unless you have EB1, EB2, or a green card. But if you do not have these documents, then just tell them yes. Well, if you have a plan to apply by yourself for EB1, EB2, and you feel like if you say no, your job is at risk, then you can tell them no.
I'll tell them yes. Okay.
If you have a plan and you don't yet have the document. Yeah.
Yeah. Oga Jimoh.
Yeah, so thank you for asking that question. I want to start from the root. All right. So one thing you need to know is there is a system. We are all in a system. Every country is run in a system. Every organization is run in a system. And the power that be determine the system. Okay. So when you based on the system that you are about to get into, whether you need certification, as Galaxy asked, or you need sponsorship, depend on that system. Okay. And when it comes to system, most organizations don't want to navigate the whatever. So when they start asking you, do you need this? Do you need this? Most times it's because they don't want to navigate. I have somebody who reached out to me now. She's teaching. The school said they are willing to support her and sponsor her. The lawyers don't even know the process. So she had to reach out to me. It's like you go, do whatever you need to do, look for your solution out. We will support you, we'll give you everything that you need. But they don't know the process. So immigration stuff, most Americans don't know what it is, and they don't want to navigate it for any reason. So they want someone who is already ready, someone who is already prepared. So do you need sponsorship? No, you don't need sponsorship. You have your OPT. But some of them will now probe further to know which visa do you have. That is where you will now have problems. So if you say OPT, they might not argue with you. They will go back to their joint brother and say, okay, this guy say he has OPT. That means after 1 year, he will need. If they ask you after, in the future, will you need sponsorship? Tell them, no, you don't need sponsorship because you can sponsor yourself. You have plans to sponsor yourself. You're already in the process of sponsoring yourself or whatever you can say, So if you say, yes, you need sponsorship, there is every tendency that they will not call you back. Even some people have who have been given the job, they have withdrawn the job for them because they discovered that they need a sponsorship. So if you have your OPT, the answer is no. Do you need the sponsorship later? No. Why? Because you're already in the process of getting your AB1 and sponsoring yourself, so you don't need them. That's the only answer that will secure your job for you. Unless you are sure, like he said, some big schools and big whatever who have their policy clear that they sponsor, then you can now, tell them I need sponsorship, knowing that they will sponsor you. And again, I have like 3 clients now who are in a company. The company promised to sponsor them. They are there. Company is not even asking them anything. They are just there. And it's very risky because by the time you run out of status, the company will look for somebody else to replace you. So while they are waiting on their company, they have to now have a plan B. So they are coming to apply for EB1, EB2 on their own. So please have a plan B. That is very, very important.
So if you have a plan B, you can say actually you do not need their sponsorship because it's basically that you are going to sponsor yourself. You have a way to sponsor yourself, if I understand the answer correctly. Dr. Jimoh. Okay. I have some other hands up, but Oxax, are you there? Are you still with us? I wanted to hear from you because you are not in the academic. We've talked about, we said a lot of things. Is there anything different like in the industry as where you are that you want to add?
No, I think everybody spoke well. I can just share my own experience and we can take from that what we want, right?
Go ahead, please.
I apologize if I'm going to repeat stuff that people have already said in advance. So I would say, I guess graduating, I think maybe from listening to everybody, I think it's a little bit different experience being master student and being an undergrad. So that's why I didn't want to speak much because some of my thoughts are conflicting, but it's okay. I would say that when I was fortunate to have had a job before graduation. I had a job well over 6 months or 9 or 8 before I graduated. So I could apply for my OPT immediately. I was able to, but I know some people didn't have opportunities straight up, so they didn't want to apply because the day you get it is the day it starts counting for your 1 year. But I think there's a grace period, or there's a amount of days, maybe like 60 days before you have to decide what's up. So even if you've applied for the OPT and it's past that time, you're still fine because it's their system that's delayed. But as somebody said earlier, you cannot work while you have it. I think again, with my company, I had like some time before that should have been resolved. They can let you work for maybe 30 days or something, and you have to resolve that paperwork so that they can continue to pay you and continue to have you employed. If not, you have to leave the work and you have to go back to school or figure that out. So I think the OPT was smooth sailing. I got my job and they applied for the H1B. I didn't get on the first try. I got it on the second try. So that's on my extension, on my STEM extension. And obviously that can be renewed as many times as needed while you still have an employment. I learned something new from Jimoh today about getting a business and using that to file for yourself. I like that idea as well. I know people who've done the EB1, EB2 process. Some of them work full time, some of them are in school, and it's pretty much the same process. And however best you can defend yourself, you can do it while you're in school, you can do it out of school at any time. You just have to have the proper documentation and pay the money for application. I would say getting a job it starts from what you do in college, not after when you graduate. You put yourself out there. You go to conferences as even though that costs some money. It cost me a lot. I went to a lot of conferences and a lot of like job career fairs in different states in US. Just looking for internship experiences that I could get, and it was from there I got my full time, right? So that was very helpful. So my summer, I didn't have to stay in school to work or anything. My first summer I traveled, but my other summers I worked and then graduated. So it was pretty neat. Then what else? Let me see. I think also one thing that I wanted to say, I think it was a question I saw earlier. Don't limit yourself. Somebody said it as well, but I don't know in what context. But for me, I think I always thought that since I studied chemical engineering, I want to have a job in chemical engineering space. So even when I would talk to companies, I try to see which one fit how much does it even need to process cost? I think it's like 1,200, 1,300 per person. And then plus expedited, another 1,000 or 700, maybe 700, and then 1-2 process. I don't remember. Somebody just told me, but something around that range. Yes, as I was saying, oh my God, that's my train of thought. So I said, don't limit yourself as when you apply for a job, because even when you think that you are not fit for it, because I thought like, oh, if it's not a chemical engineering role, I'm not qualified. Well, that's really like, because right now I've not used one chemical engineering principle since I graduated college, and I was out there thinking that I had the experience for the role I thought I was going to go for, but I did not at the end of the day. So you will learn on the job. You can follow your passion or follow interest more. I think there's always joy in that. You want to be happy doing what you're doing. But if that's not the case, just get your first job. The hardest job to get is your first one. After that, you have experiences to use to leverage for the next and all that. And because the reason I said that is because a couple months after I got my first offer, I was still in school, my final semester. I got another offer from a consulting company, Goldman Sachs. But I was like, oh, I don't want to leave engineering. I want to be an engineer. That if I'd known, I think I would have taken that job because now I want to go into the business space or the not necessarily consultant or whatever, or consulting rather, but just something around that area. But like I said, don't limit yourself. I think that job would have been equally good. I wouldn't have taken it, so I don't think they paid as much as I wanted at the time. But I'll say those are my experiences. Don't limit yourself. Also trust God. He will always take care of you. Because I had a job before school. Some of my friends didn't, But at the end of the day, everybody is like caught up. There's no, even when it took some a year later to get it, like everybody has their own testimonials in different areas. Like there's a lot after school, so you want to. There's like the job, there's the filing, there's all those things. So everybody in your own due time, it will work out for you. So I would just say trust God at the end of it. I think that's all I had.
All right, thank you so much. Those things are very necessary. I know there are questions coming more, but I want us to quickly, because the time is already here, to ask this question. Dr. Jimoh, someone say, is it mandatory to leave the USA after completing a 2 year master's program while you still have about 3 years for your visa to expire? Like, let me take an example, especially like people from Ghana, for instance, they give them a 5 year visa, even when they are coming here for a master's degree. So what happens when you finish your program? He said, if yes, can you do any legitimate work?
Yeah, so this question is, how do you call this question now? We call it conception. There is some misconception in this question that needs to be clarified first. Number one is your visa. When you have your visa and you are in the plane, you have left your country, you are still in your country. If you transit and land in Germany, for example, you are still in your country. When you land in the US, Chicago airport or wherever, you are still in your country. As soon as you face the immigration officers, you are still in your country. As soon as you cross that line and you are admitted, now you have entered the US. The reason why I'm saying that is that for you to cross that line, that is where you need your visa. After that, your visa is irrelevant. So here now, what the question you are asking is a status question, not a visa question. Have 2 million years in your visa, it doesn't mean anything. What is important is your I-20. If your I-20 say you have 2 years and your program is over after 2 years, but your visa is telling you 2 million years, it is irrelevant. You don't even need the visa to leave a country. You only need it to be admitted into. So you cannot do anything legitimately if your I-20 and your program is over. So it is not dependent on your visa at all. Once you enter into the country, throw your visa away and focus on your status. So if you have 2 years and you have completed it, you have 90 days to leave the country or else you'll be out of status.
Okay, the next one. Do pregnancies affect your graduate assistantship?
No.
Okay,
no, it doesn't. But nobody is going to reduce your work for you. If you are pregnant 9 months, you will still come to class and teach. You will still grade. You will still do everything that you're supposed to do, unless you have someone who is able to substitute for you. If not, you will still come to class, do assignment like anybody. Nobody gives you any. I haven't discovered in Nigeria when you give birth, they give you up to 6 months maternity leave. This place, I think, is about a couple of weeks they give you, and that's if your work. Because as a graduate assistant, you don't have those privileges.
They give you 3 months. They give you 3 months.
Of what?
About 3 months leave for pregnancy or something if you have a baby.
Yeah, but if you are a graduate assistantship, you are not entitled to it. I have a Cameroonian.
Oh no, not as a graduate assistant. Yeah.
Nobody gave her anything.
I was talking in the context of working that you're already working for an organization. Some organizations will give you 3 months, some will give you like a few weeks.
Yes, depending on the organization. But I know I had this discussion in my class during our agenda stuff, and the lady said in the US they don't give you up to that.
Okay. Well, I suggest that the person should also raise the question to their supervisor and their department. Let's move on to the next one quickly. Please, guys, can you give us 10 minutes more? Can you bring someone from your home country on an F2 if the person is a close relation, but not your husband or your wife? Say your mother. Can you bring your mother?
Yes, this again is a conception. It's a conception question. What is F2? F2 is for your dependent.
Okay.
Dependent in immigration means your spouse or your children. Your children in immigration means 21 years and below and unmarried. So if your son is 16 and is married, he's no longer a dependent. So 21 below and married and your spouse, that's dependent. Any other person is not your dependent.
They can come as a tourist with the B2 visa. but not F2. F2 is wife with a certificate or children. But your parents, your brothers can come as visitors. Yeah. B2 visa.
B2 visa, so that's what they can come with. There was one person whose hand I saw. Sylvester, do you still have your hands up?
Yes.
Okay, please kindly go ahead quickly.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Please, we have myself and Said. We were supposed to come last year, August, but we came in January this year. And because of that, our graduation is going to be in December next year. Our visas are expiring in December next year, but we spoke to the department and asked if there is a way we can apply for PhD for next year. So they told us that since we are graduating in December, that cannot be feasible. We have to wait till the upper year. And the only thing they said they could do for us is to still keep us in the department to be taking a course and then wait while we apply. But I'm thinking that will be, it has not been clarified that it will be the OPT. What I want to ask now is, can we actually apply for the PhD for next year? And since most of the PhDs we are seeing, they say they cannot take students for January, they have to take them in, I think, August, September. Can we apply and try to defer? What is the option available for us?
Yeah. Any, Dr. Mathias, you can answer if you have answers. Dr. Jimoh?
I didn't really get the question.
Now the question is this: their program is ending in December, okay, not in May, and they have to apply for a PhD. And PhD that they're applying for, it has to be in another 4, like so, which means their I-20 is expiring in December, and then the distance, the point between that December and when they will resume another PhD program, what happens? Because they'll be out of status.
Yeah. You want to, what I'll say is, the school that you are applying to, you can speak with them and let them know your predicament and see what they can do.
Okay.
I think the school you are applying to that can help you in any way. Either, like you said, get the admission, then defer it, and then handle the I-20 or something. Or better still, you apply for OPT. While your OPT is on, you apply for the PhD also. So you will have that grace period to do your OPT, and then halfway you can now go and resume your this thing. But I think you need to talk to the school that you're applying to. Yes, even at the International Student Office, I think it is the school you are going to that wants to give you admission that can help you with this, not the school that you are in. But you can talk to both of the international office, and they will see what they can do to extend your stay.
So
Okay. Yes.
just to add to that, to your question, if the school that let's say the school that you're doing your master's currently, it's easy for you to get a PhD in the school that you're currently doing your master's, right? Than getting a PhD from other schools because of competition. Because again, your school already knows you, and they can attest to your academic capabilities. So yes, they can give you an admission and just to start on the stipulated time. But I think I heard you say that they already said they are going to, keep you in the department and give you classes to attend. What that does for you is that it kind of limits you to applying to other schools. So if you're going to go with the school that you're currently with, then you're going to have to, follow whatever they're saying, doing the extra courses and staying, excuse me, and staying with them, right? Other than waiting for a school that you really don't have a relationship with. So again, everything is, it's a lot of process, but probably my last thing that I would add before I leave is that I heard someone say, put your egg in many baskets. Please don't do that. Put your eggs in specific baskets and be led. Okay, allow God lead you. Pray about it. Talk to people who have gone through that journey, who is like your future is their present, or is their past. Please take advantage of that and trust God to lead you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Jimoh, before you go, for those of you who are still on the questions of applying for green card, EB1, EB2, you want details, I'll ask Dr. Jimoh to drop his email address and then his details. You can reach out to him and every other person there. Dr. Muia is also there, Dr. Mathias, Justice is there. You can reach out to them for more questions. Dr. Longla is also there, and any other person that you feel you can ask these questions. Like I said, I've discovered here the most important thing is you need to ask questions. Not like here in America, like they don't feel nobody wants to tell you anything. They feel like you understand everything. But here with us here, with the the members of alumni that we have that capacity to ask them questions, things we want to know, and they can lead us on the right path so that we don't miss our way. So I want to start by thanking Dr. Jimoh, Dr. Muia, Mr. Obioha, and then Miss Oxax for taking their time to actually come in to talk to us. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of things today. There are things I never knew, and in this conversation, I heard them. So we really appreciate, and we are trying to keep the African Caribbean Student associations on top and see that we hold on to it. One thing I would have definitely loved to see here is, the idea of having a very big association of the former student of ACSA, like a platform where, people actually like join after they graduate so that the life will continues discussing things together. Probably we need something, like that as time goes on. But I want to say thank you to every member, the executive members of ACSA. Thank you so much for the effort you put in, for making sure this event, is taking place today. We really appreciate, and I want to say thank you to every one of you for coming. Like I said, I asked for 10 minutes and it's exactly the 10 minutes. So, Dr. Jimoh, please, anytime you can send your details, like your name, phone number and email that people can reach out to. I think just Mr. Justice is on the platform. They are all on our platform, like their WhatsApp group, so you can reach out to them for more details as we go on. So thank you guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everyone. It's a success, and then the program has been held. So oneness, we say goodbye and then have a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
good
you.
afternoon.
Thank you so much for having us. You'll have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.